Hello and welcome to lesson 3.4, solving multi-step equations. Go ahead and put today's date for me. And our I can statement is I can solve multi-step equations. So far we've been looking at one-step equations. So today we're going to add in a couple of more steps. We're going to combine our one-step equations for these. So the very first thing, just remember we're isolating the variable. So to isolate the variable, the first step is to always check to see if the equation can simplify. And that means whether we need to distribute or combine like terms. So always check to see if it can simplify. Step 2, transpose the constant that's being added or subtracted. And remember, constant is your term without the variable. So constant's just your number. So we're going to transpose the constant that's being added or subtracted. Third step, isolate variable by multiplying or dividing. Remember, you do the opposite of what's ever happening. The fourth and last one, check it. Make sure our answer is correct. And the check process is the same as it was for the one-step equations. Okay, we're just going to follow these 4 steps throughout our examples. So example 1. We're asked to solve 7m minus 17 equals 60. And it says, then check your solution. So first things first, we see if it can simplify. 7m cannot subtract 17 because they're unlike terms. He has an m, he doesn't. So step 2 is to transpose our constant. Our constant is our 17. He doesn't have a variable. So if he's a minus 17 on the left, now take him to the right, he's going to be a plus 17. So he disappears on the left, and I'm left with 7m equals 60 plus 17 is 77. Last step to solve for m is to divide, because if 7 and m are side by side, that means they're being multiplied. So I divide both sides by my coefficient of 7. 7's cancel. M equals 77 divided by 7 is 11. Now, for the check. Once again, we always want to go back up to the original. 7m minus 17 equals 60. So you always go back to the original. And we say m is now 11. So 7 times m is now 7 times 11 minus 17 equals 60. 7 times 11 is 77 minus 17 equals 60. Then we say 77 minus 17 is 60. 60 equals 60. So we're good. We check on this one. So our answer is m equals 11, and we check. So our answer is correct. Example 2, we're given 5w minus 13 equals 37. Once again, we're going to see if it can simplify. 5w minus 13 can't simplify. He has a w, he doesn't. So step 2, transpose your constant being added or subtracted. Alright, so if we have a minus 13, we're going to take it across and make it a plus 13. So my minus 13 over here disappears. I keep my 5w equals 37 plus 13 is 50. Now 5 and w are side by side, so they're being multiplied. So to get rid of my 5, I divide both sides by 5. 5's cancel. And w equals 50 divided by 5 is 10. Now, for the check, we're going to go back up to the original. And Our original is 5w minus 13 equals 37. We're going to replace w with 10, so it's 5 times w. It's not going to say 5 times 10 minus 13 equals 37. 5 times 10 is 50. Drop down our minus 13 equals 37. And lastly, 50 minus 13 is 37, and 37 equals 37, so we check. Alright, on to example 3. We're given t over 8 plus 21 equals 14. So step 1, see if we can simplify. T over 8 has a variable, my 21 doesn't, so I can't. So I take my plus 21, because he's my constant. So if it's plus 21, take him to the side, make him a minus 21. So he disappears, and I'm left with t over 8 equals 14 minus 21 is negative 7. Alright, now we look over here at our t. And a fraction bar means it's being divided. So if it's being divided by 8, I have to do the opposite and multiply both sides by 8. So 8's cancel. I'm left with t equals negative 7 times 8 is a negative 56. So now let's check this one. So go back to the original, t over 8 plus 21 equals 14. Except I'm going to replace t with negative 56. So negative 56 over 8 plus 21 equals 14. Negative 56 divided by 8 gives us a negative 7 plus 21 equals 14. Negative 7 plus 21 is 14. And 14 equals 14, so we check. All right, example 4. We're given negative 9 plus s over 12 equals 11. So once again, we're going to first check to see if we can simplify. I can't. Negative 9 doesn't have a variable. That's an s. So make sure it's not a 5. S over 12 has a variable. So for this one, we're still going to have to go on to step 2 to transpose. But remember, we're going to transpose the constant. That's your term without the variable. So term without the variable is negative 9. So my negative 9 on the left comes across to the right, becomes a plus 9. So he disappears, and s over 12 equals 20. Alright, now, still solving for s, that fraction bar tells us to divide, and the opposite of divide is to multiply. So we're then going to have to multiply both sides by our denominator of 20. Or sorry, of 12. Our denominator of 12. So 12 and 12 cancel, and I'm left with s equals 12 times 20 is 240. So now let's check this one. Go back up to the original, negative 9 plus s over 12 equals 11. Replace s with 240, so negative 9 plus 240 over 12 equals 11. 240 divided by 12, because remember you have to divide before we can add. So 240 divided by 12 is 20 equals 11. Negative 9 plus 20 is 11. 11 equals 11, so we check. Alright, now we're off to our last example. Okay, and we're asked to solve it and check it. So example 5 says 4y plus 5 over 7 equals 7. Here's one quick thing I want to talk to you all about. This one looks different from all the other problems we've looked at because if you look at your equal sign, if I were to look to just the left side of my equal sign, the whole side is a fraction. So if the whole side is a fraction, I'm going to have to get rid of that fraction before I can do anything else. So we make ourselves a little note here. Alright, so when one whole side is a fraction, we must get rid of the fraction bar. So if we know the fraction bar means to divide, then the opposite would be to multiply. So we must multiply both sides by the denominator. Okay, so if my denominator is 7, I'm being divided by 7, so the opposite is to multiply both sides by 7. So my multiplying by 7, my dividing by 7 cancels out because they're opposites. So I get 4y plus 5 equals 7 times 7 is 49. Okay? Now, we simplified it out. We're down to where we have our 2 steps left. So now we need to transpose our constant. So that's our plus 5. Take him a minus 5. He disappears from the left, and I'm left with 4y equals 49 minus 5 is 44. Last step, if 4 and y are side by side, they're being multiplied, so I need to divide both sides by 4. 4's cancel, y equals 11. Okay, now to check it. So when we go to the check, we always want to go back up to the original. So 4y plus 5 over 7 equals 7. Except now I know that my y is 11. So 4 times 11 plus 5 over, let's try that again, over 7 equals 7. So 4 times 11 is 44 plus 5 over 7 equals 7. Alright, 44 plus 5 is 49 over 7 equals 7. And then we say 49 divided by 7 is 7, so 7 equals 7, and we check. I know that one was a little bit bigger of a problem, especially with the check down here. It was a little bit longer. But we still follow the same steps. Okay? And this finishes up for our multiple step equations. Thank you very much.